Lord and Creator, we are grateful to be able to come together to work towards the issues of the Cherokee people. We thank you for this time of year where we all slow down a few days and remember you are the source of all. And we thank you for each of our healths. We thank you for the good folks who fed us so well today, and for all the folks here in this room who have a passion for education and help us to be good stewards and people with open ears and open minds. In your name, amen.
Amen. Shelley, please do roll call.
David Walkenstick.
On it.
Don Garvin. Bill Anglin.
Honey.
Keith Austin.
Here.
Jack Baker.
Here.
Harley Buzzard.
Here.
Joe Burns.
Honey.
Tom Crittenden.
Honey.
Rex Hargis. Wanda Hatfield.
Honey.
Rex Jordan.
Here.
Dick Lay.
Here.
Curtis Snell.
Here.
Shanice Taylor. Here. David Thornton. Victoria Vespas.
Honey.
Brian Warner.
Honey.
We do have a quorum.
All right, thank you. Do we hear a motion to approve the minutes of October 17, 2016?
Make a motion to be approved.
Second. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Down in reports, Talking Leaves Job Corps, Ms. Diane Gillett.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Wanted to report that Talking Leaves got their July report for their statistical analysis for their 11 performance standards. And this is the biggest. J. Littlejohn was beside himself. We ranked number 19 in the nation. We made the first page of that report. That is the very first time in history that we ever made the first page.
Wow.
And
Congratulations.
Jay was just beside himself. And he and Ramona and that whole management team over there need to be congratulated because they have worked hard. They just practically live over there. Mona does, her and Jay. They're over there all the time. They will hold graduation. It's a small graduation this Friday. This Friday, the 18th. And our keynote speaker is Deputy Speaker Victoria Vasquez. And we're excited about that. Victoria's given us a rain check for 2 or 3 years, and she said, I'm coming to your graduation. And we said, good, you can be our speaker. Yes, we're excited. That same day, later in the evening, the Cherokee Nation, is going to be hosting Leadership Oklahoma, and they're coming here to the Cherokee Nation on Thursday and Friday. Molly Jarvis is kind of spearheading that, and there's been a group working on that. And she wanted to showcase the Job Corps, which we're very proud to showcase. And Janet Looper, our cafeteria manager, and Tyler Wagers, who is our culinary instructor, doing a fantastic job, by the way. They are going to prepare the meal that evening, and we're just real excited. We've hosted 2 meetings over there the last 2 Wednesdays. We had the Northeast workforce group. There was about 15 of them that came down last Wednesday, toured, and they walked them through the process for enrollment at Job Corps because their clients can get credit as being in training. And also the Eastern Workforce Board came the following Wednesday. So we've had 2 meetings over there, and Tyler he and his students prepared the meal. It was fantastic. I'm not kidding you. They can cook. And this past year, the Job Corps over there has done some really outstanding things with a lot of their academic program, and I want to commend Ramona and Jackie and all the stuff that the teachers over there are doing, and Mr. Lucas, because they are really shining in comparison. We are the #1 center in the state of Oklahoma, though. We want to say that. Prior testing center. The remodeling group has finished that. It's still not soundproof. So we're probably going to flip the adult education area and move the testing center over into that area and put that group, adult ed, in that room that we were going to do for testing. Stephanie and Deborah are going up tomorrow. We are trying to set that up with Don Raleigh to do an open house in conjunction, I think around the 15th of December, somewhere in there. So it'll be sometime in December. But we're hoping to have that open house in conjunction with the state coming down. The state is closing 3 offices on our side of the fence. Mr. McPherson sent a letter to the workforce areas. They've had a big budget cut in the state of Oklahoma, and as a result of it, they're cutting back on some of their offices. Claremore probably got hit the worst. They're going to eliminate some positions, and the only way they can salvage a presence there is if they can go in with another office. And Michelle Bish is going up to look at our offices this week. I'm going to meet Michelle up there, and she's going to look and see whether or not they can use one of our offices there at Claremore so that they can have a presence there. And she would have someone there full-time, and then 2 people that would float in and float out through the week. Salisaw is the other office in Sequoia County. They're eliminating that office out at the VOTEC, and Wendy Mendenthal is meeting with Daryl and I, and they're looking at space there in our office downtown. Also, we've got people that were eliminated in Adair County, and that's where some of the manufacturing is there in Adair County, but they're still going to have a presence there. They just won't have as many staff. So we're looking at Salisaw and Claremore, and we'll probably be doing something there. Visited with the chief about it last week, and he said that, we're all about partnering and helping out where we can, because when we have businesses that come to the state and we're trying to recruit, sometimes the state can recruit, and they also have a database that we can pull from when we need information. So where we can partner, we do. So I just wanted you to be aware of that. We were also contacted by our 102477 group out of Washington, D.C. Department of Interior. They are the ones where we passed the Department of Labor money over to Interior for the 102477. And Ida Doyle told us that we could ask for an additional $25,000. She said she knew that there wasn't a lot, but they had monies at the end of the year that they were going to disseminate out. So we put a request in, and we're going to be using it for some training and also to work on a PowerPoint presentation about the programs and the coordination of services between our programs. And then we're also working with the NORA group, who has the contract through the sector partnership, and they're also doing some things for us in hospitality, health, and in manufacturing. And there's 3 meetings that are slated the end of this month at the Hard Rock for those 3 different areas. Just want to remind everybody about the Tarot Banquet this Thursday night at 6 o'clock. I know Anna told you about the vendor fair that'll take place that day. The banquet's that night. And then we're also, the chief and administration is hosting a Christmas open house Friday, December the 2nd, and our department's working on that. So, you have any questions?
Councilwoman Vasquez.
Thank you. Diane, the tarot setup, the booth setup, what time does that start and end?
They'll open the doors at 10 o'clock, but I think you can get in there about 8:30 or 9 o'clock to get set up. You'll be able to get in to get your stuff set
I
up.
just want to go see, I'm not going to set up, but I want to see some people, and I plan to spend the day in Tulsa, and then it closes at 3, you said?
It'll shut down at 3 for them to break the area up so that they can set up for the banquet. Banquet will start at 6 o'clock. They'll open the doors. For any of you council members that want to come around 5:30, we'll let you in at 5:30, and you can stand at the door and help greet the people coming in if you'd like. It's up to you. You don't have to. But there will be special seating for those of you that have RSVP'd. I know that some of y'all have other things that you're going to have to go to that night, and we understand that because sometimes there is conflicts with those dates. We're going to try to have it earlier next year. I talked to Sean about that a while ago. So, any questions?
Any questions for Diane? Saying none, Diane, good job.
Thank you.
You guys have a good
All right.
and happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you.
All right, next, we got the Director's Report from Education, Mr. Ron Ettridge.
Good afternoon. You guys will have some visitors tonight. Our youth tribal council will be present and be introduced. And other than that, it's open to you. Any questions you might have for us? What now? Be
How
happy
we
to.
looking on the budget for all of our students, concurrent, all of that, are we good?
Concurrent has grown tremendously, more than we thought it would. So we had close to 380 students this semester, so we're looking forward to doing that again, you know, if not beating that coming this spring. Speaking of that, our applications will be out this week for concurrent enrollment, and we're looking to try to get those in by mid-December. So for some of the schools, I know that may not be possible because all the students won't be enrolled, but we'd like to get an early count and see where we are at that time. Secondly, the renewal deadline for the undergraduate and graduate scholarships will be December 28th. And so we've got a lot of the colleges asking us to get those award letters out earlier so that they can make any arrangements that they need to. So we're trying to set that deadline a little bit early too.
Yes, Councilman
One
Moore.
question. Do we have, I know we've got one somewhere because I was a product of it, but do we have like a list of things that they could do? Because I've got several of them coming to my office. Right now, we've got some people doing some work around different organizations, but do we have a pretty good list of what they can do for their volunteer hours?
We've got some things that we've been sending out, so I'll
Okay.
share that with you.
Okay, yes, please do that, because I've got them all trying to get hightailed and get their stuff going. That way we, can, slow down some of that lag time that we have and try to help you guys, and I know it helps us out, so I appreciate it.
Okay. Yeah, we can get that list to you.
Could you send it to all of us?
Everybody, sure. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, Councilman Buzzer.
Ron, Jennifer, on our directed studies program, I noticed in the report there's only one for the fall semester 16. And what are those programs that we're looking for as far as directive studies?
Primarily health related, some of the
Health-related.
MDs and the nurse practitioner type.
Okay.
So we will send out a survey to all the executive directors in the coming weeks, trying to see what their needs are for the upcoming school year, and we'll adjust that list based on what they let us know.
Most of them now is for the health.
Yeah, and we'll release that application probably in February or March, and that list will be updated, and the deadline will be in June for directed studies.
I'm just surprised that there's only one. There's a great opportunity for somebody.
And a lot of them choose to apply for IHS. We encourage them to apply for both, just in case they don't get that. They can fall back on us, but a lot of them choose not to.
What about, did anybody ever apply for engineering through you guys? Because I know there's a need for information.
Not with directed studies. We've not been told that that's something that they want us to look specifically for. But through the regular undergraduate program, we have it.
I know our roads program doesn't have an engineer staff, and so does our environmental health services. They don't have engineer staff. They have one, but no staff.
We can reach out to them and see if that's something that they want to look at.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Yes, Councilman Moore.
How many directed studies scholarships do we generally do?
It varies. Some of the doctors are a little more costly than, your accountants and that type of stuff. So right now, I believe we have a total of 10 on the program.
10.
And it just kind of varies where budget is when we get to that point of selection.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, Councilman Garbage.
Ron, I understand you had a meeting with Dan Hadaway in regard to the incarceration of our Cherokees.
Right.
Can you kind of update us?
Right.
Sorry I wasn't able to be there, but
Yeah.
got me at a bad time.
Okay, we, of course, good news in a way in our conversation because they've been awarded grant money, that prison, and both on the male and the female side, and they're sending, or they're having a lot of their prisoners that want to be working toward a college credits or a degree or whatever are getting that opportunity on account of that grant. And so as far as his particular institution, he's not quite needing the money as rapidly as the others. But in our conversation, he explained to me that technically he oversees regarding matters such as this, several. And he was tickled with the fact that, we're going to be looking at the 7 institutions outside our county area because we only have one inside. We come across one issue as far as starting it next semester, and that is the legislation that this council adopted back in 2011. And we took this to the Attorney General and let him decipher or give us a explanation as to what this says. And here in Section 5B, it says that 90 days prior to the effective date of a regulation, rule, policy, or procedure, unless such time frame is waived by resolution of the council. So the 90 days does not leave us time to actually put this money out there for use until it would be the fall semester of next year. And the only other thing that possibly could be done was possibly if council decides to, go ahead and make a motion to do away with this one and add a new one. And I don't know that. I'm just throwing verbiage out there.
Hey,
Because,
Ron,
yes.
we don't have that legislation in front of us. Is
Right,
that the
no,
one-
we're still working with drafts in our office. And so the legislation that it refers to is Legislative Act 02-11.
And that this is referring to,
Yeah, and it just says that we need to share that with you 90 days prior to us implementing the program. And so since we're still working with drafts in our office, then we don't have anything to give you in order to implement for the spring semester.
so these are the scholarships, the increase, or
No, this is to start the program for inmate funding.
for inmate funding?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that would delay our implementation down to the fall of 17.
Okay. And what we don't want to run into is we short a Cherokee that has a clean record and he doesn't get a scholarship. You know what I'm saying? Like, we need to prioritize those kids.
Yeah, and it's not, at this point, it's looking like it's not going to come from the same source as those scholarships for undergraduate and graduate.
Okay.
Thank you,
fine.
Mr. Chairman.
Okay. All right. Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Okay.
On the concurrent, have you been getting any feedback from colleges that they may not, or that there may be some budget shortfalls and they may be dropping out of the concurrent? Because Council Warner, didn't you say that the funding sources kind of flip-flopped from the higher regents?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And,
I know we're moving forward as is right now.
Okay.
The future will tell what we need to do and, and everything. But right now, the demand, like Jennifer said, it's more than what they anticipated, and then the same thing for us. And we've opened up our enrollment last week for concurrent students, so we're already trying to get them all and get them in. That way they can, not make Jennifer and them tardy, because then there's a transfer of what they've got to our business office and so forth, so. Yeah.
Okay. And the Sequoia High School students concurrent enrollment, so where does that leave that?
We're working with Treasurer's Office and Administration to kind of clarify those lines. So we'll have something for them once the application gets released also.
So where was the funding source beforehand for the Sequoia students?
It either comes out of their grant or car tag money prior to having concurrent enrollment scholarship, and then we paid it out of concurrent enrollment this past year.
Okay, and next year, you guys are looking at maybe you paying out of Sequoia's budget?
Right, going back to the grant, because the grant allows for non-Cherokees to be funded. And so in fairness, if they can pay for non-Cherokees, then they can pick up the Cherokee students also.
Okay.
Which would allow us to fund more students in the area.
Now, you're over the Sequoia budget, right?
Right.
Okay. So I guess you guys can afford that?
Well, I mean, like any of our other programs, it's something that we have to watch really close as they continue to grow. Because
Yes.
even Sequoia's participation in concurrent enrollment has grown from semester to semester.
That's what, I don't know, I mean, I just don't want to run into some, talking to the maintenance and the staff up there at Sequoia, like, they don't have any money to, recondition their ACs or something, and they're having to, jerry-rig things together because they have no money in the maintenance budget to fix things at the school. And so if we're taking more money out of their budget, again, I'm not over the budget, but it sounds like there may be some funding issues, and we're going to take more money out of there. It could add some more problems to that.
Yeah, and some of those items are separate. I mean, the facilities is awarded separate from the education side of it, so that's something we just have to look at as a whole.
And being over education, do you guys advocate for the teachers at Sequoia on the 3%? Visiting with teachers over at Sequoia, they're not eligible for the 3% because they're on the STEP.
Right,
On
they're
step
on the
program.
state scale plus 5%.
And from my understanding is that's a $400 package with the state and the STEP. With saying that, our Cherokees here in Cherokee Nation get 3%, which is roughly $1,000, depending on what your salary is.
Right.
And our Cherokee Nation employees or teachers over at Sequoia, they, best place in the state to work, but they're, that they've kind of voiced some concerns. Can we get to an equal playing field with the rest of the Cherokee Nation employees, if we're Cherokee Nation employees? I got Nathan Morton working on that as well, but I need y'all's help as well to kind of start facilitating that. That way we treat everyone fairly.
Okay. We'll work with Nason and the school administrators and kind of see where we can
And
go.
I don't know how this body feels in here on the teachers over at Sequoia. You guys feel like they should be treated fairly as rest of the Cherokee Nation employees and compensation-wise, or is that separate? No. So.
I'd like to know how their salaries compare to public school teachers statewide.
Okay.
Are they making less than public school teachers are?
No, they're making 5% more.
Yeah, they use the state scale plus 5%.
Okay. But it's same question as a Cherokee Nation janitor making more than a janitor. That's a state school janitor. It's apples and oranges here. I mean, so.
No, and David, I just comment here, and appreciate your concern there. 2 daughters teaching, and they're in it where they can't get out because one has 20, one has 22. They can't leave the state. They're locked in right here, and I'm all for teachers getting additional money where we can have it, and we missed our chance last week in one particular case, and I mean it's over and it's behind us, and hopefully there'll be some legislation to see that they all get raises, and I think when that happens, I mean this will happen here as well. I mean, you mentioned it early in the year, you'd like to see it happen if the state teachers got raises, and I'm not saying that they're underpaid now. I mean, they do a good job. I mean, you walk the halls up there, and you can see that there's some pride up there. I promise you. The kids feel good about themselves. I couldn't say that years ago about that school. I can say it now. I mean, all you got to do is walk up and down the halls, you can see it. And so that's being instilled in them, not only by the teachers, but by the administration and the people that are part of that. And there's a lot of pride there. And that's the product that we're putting out there. So I sympathize with what you're saying. I mean, I think that they're deserving, but to how to do it, and we can only stretch it so far.
Sure.
Don't know. And I appreciate what Jennifer does and how she takes care of that.
Yeah.
So.
Again, like I said, we just want all the employees to feel they're treated the same, and we don't want to I mean, if they're on that Cherokee Nation umbrella, we need to treat them all the same. So, but anyways, like I said, if you guys work with Nason on that, he's getting those numbers together. And like I said, if we need to do a budget mod, if this council supports that, then that's what we need to do. But so anyways, appreciate what you guys do in advocating for Sequoia and other education. Any other questions for Mr. Etheridge? All right, seeing none. All right, thank you guys. Appreciate you. Bernadette Thompson gave her report earlier and gave you guys a copy of the annual report. And that was, yeah, and as a delicious dinner that they served us as well. Next, down the line, we got Sequoia High School Superintendent Leroy Qualls.
Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you got the supplemental report that I added on to the first one that you got, so we could all see and go along together on what we're discussing or what I'm talking about. I even had 2 add-ons while you guys were doing your business here by the phone. I'd like to announce we've got a girl named Maddie Lamb that won, it's a contest called Homecoming from GET Schools, G-E-T, Schools Contest. And she won a Microsoft laptop, fancy computer, $100 gift card, celebration for the school. Included in that celebration, from what I understand, they're going to pay for supplies to paint a mural on the side of the building, one of our buildings. That's as far as I'm going to go with that, because I don't know anything else other than that, except she's an exceptional student. If you'll remember when Coach Tanner passed away, she did a sketch of him that was so lifelike in lead pencil. And I heard it was on the internet too, so she's a very talented girl. My principal called me and told me about that, and at the same time, I guess this week there's going to be a commercial shoot for Sooner Care, and they want to use Cena Hayes in that commercial. You know, she's our girl that was MVP of the state tournament as a sophomore and tore her knee up last year and was out all last year, and this year she's back. Not only her, but 3 others that I don't have the names for at this time, but that's supposed to be this week. So things happen pretty quickly sometimes. Our immersion school had a Native American assembly. This is Native American Heritage Month on the 9th at 9:30. They also having their Thanksgiving meal. I started to make the announcement up there, but that was a Verna show and I didn't want to say anything. And the food was outstanding. But you guys are welcome to come Friday if you're around, anywhere from 11 to 12:30 to Sequoia Cafeteria to come and eat a Thanksgiving meal with us. Just a little bit of side note on that. If you don't want to fight the crowd with the students, come after 11:40. So it will not be as crowded. Our 5th grade will be singing at the state capitol on the 29th of the month at 4:30, and it's for the Christmas tree lighting. That's a pretty good deal. Our 5th graders going up, and they're going to sing some songs for them during that, and I think, I'm not for sure where the invitation come from. It had to have come from the governor's office from someone, and I'm not for sure who that person is.
What was the time on that?
4:30.
4:30?
Mm-hmm. And while I'm on the immersion school, they improved 8 points from last year to this year on the A through F report card. I bragged on them earlier about their math improved scores from last year. From 2 years ago to last year was really good, and overall they increased 8 points. This doesn't sound good, but they went from an F to a D. You know, there's a lot of schools that, you know, that come up with an F this year, if you've looked at that list. So they are making improvement. A high school also had a Native American, recognized the Native American Day on November the 9th, had a traditional meal. And our Hope Club, following that, did a dance presentation, and they're pretty active. You can see there on that supplemental list where they went to Tahlequah High School, Hilldale High School, Muskogee High School, Woodall, and Coffeyville Community College during the month of November. They do a pretty good job. I got a call from Tahlequah when they were doing their program up there and said that they were outstanding. And we're proud of those kids for doing that to spread the culture. And they'll do it for any school. All they've got to do is call and request. Time permitting, they will do it. Our academic team, we found out this morning, was runner-up in the regionals in the academic meet for the OSSAA. Runner-up, that's the highest finish that Sequoia's ever had. I'm pretty proud of those kids and what they did representing our school. What that means is they'll go on to the area tournament, which will be in January. And I don't know where that site will be. I know it was in Locust Grove a couple of years ago. And while we're on academics, and I think I mentioned this last month, but I just found out the GPA of our softball team that was named academic state champions. Their GPA was 3.93. And it's first championship ever for academics for Sequoia High School in athletics. Drama team competed in the OSSAA regionals for the first time. I reported that. They went to Duncan and they participated in the state meet. They did not place, but I hear they did a pretty good job out there. And it's pretty good for a first-time thing. Our football team made the playoffs for the third straight year in Class 3A. They lost at Stigler. They're done for the year last Friday night. With that being said, Bobby Cade was selected Friday Night Blitz Player of the Week for his performance against Westville. He had 324 yards rushing and scored 4 touchdowns. Pretty good night for Bobby. Our cross country did well. Boys finished third, missed runner-up by 1 point. Girls finished fourth in the state meet. Gage Gertie all-stated, and Kayla Harp, I mentioned her because she's only a freshman, and she finished 10th, which instead of all-state, they call them all-stars when they're underclassmen. So she's got a good chance, 4 years running on that. We had a signing last week for Cena Hayes to play basketball at NSU, and also Marissa Smith to play softball at Rogers State College. We had a wonderful Veterans Day assembly that was led by our students, and they did an amazing job with what they did, putting a slideshow together, recognize the veterans that were there, and also the staff and students, former students that would been at Sequoia previously. Our freshman basketball, believe it or not, are off and running. Both teams are 3-0. They won the Sequoia tournament last week. We had Stillwell, Muldrow, Salisaw, Hilldale, Keys, and Cassia Hall there to compete last week. Our residential count is 69. And if you would jot down the open house, we'd love to have you, because we feel like we've really come a long ways in the dorms. A lot of hard work. The staff has done a lot of hard work. We've got things donated and things of that sort to try to make the dorm more like home, because it is home for our residential kids. And the very last but not least is your invitation to the Thanksgiving meal this coming Friday. And we'd love to see if you can make it up. I think that concludes my report. Got several pages here, but the first report I send in, I told Canaan we've only had 2 days of school since I gave my last report. Give me a few days to dig some things up. So that's what happened, and that's why I sent the supplemental report this time. Amazingly, this is only Monday, and a lot of things have happened today that helps my report out. Thank you for what you do.
Yes, Councilwoman Taylor.
I just want to comment on the list of accomplishments. It's all over the board. It's from drama to sports to academics, and that indicates you're trying to find something extracurricular for every student, and I commend that. At a small school, that is difficult to do.
It is very difficult,
Good
but
job.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Well, good report.
We got some good kids, I keep telling you, and they make us look good, so.
And
And our staff.
when's your Thanksgiving dinner?
Friday.
I would say Thursday, but it's Friday. Thank you, guys.
Yes, Councilwoman Hatfield.
Mr. Qualls, what is this HOPE club dance? Do they travel out the 14 county area?
They went to Coffeyville Community College last week.
Would they come to Oklahoma City?
They might.
Okay.
Depends probably on the time and what time they could get home.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, they do an excellent job, the Hope Group does, and they're, like I said, they're students, so we don't want to miss too many instructional days.
You've only got 10 days of school that you can miss according to
Yeah.
the OSSAA.
Okay.
So we have
Thank
to
you.
watch that. And I will tell you, they're training younger kids now in the after-school program to do what they do, to keep their tradition going.
But before you guys got a handout on the MOA for Sequoia High School and the BIA. Everybody get that? On the third page, it talks about the qualifications of a board member, so you guys can chew on that over the next month when you go look at that. But before I get out of here, I want to read the first two paragraphs, just so we can be aware of our responsibilities as a council and Cherokee Nation administration. Jody said that Sequoia High School is funded 95% by the BIA. 95%. Now let's read the first paragraph. It says, whereas the Tribal Council of the Cherokee Nation of Oklahoma passed resolution number 72-85 authorizing the contractual application for the assumption of the administration and maintenance of Sequoia High School pursuant to Public Law 93-638 on August 10, 1985. And whereas the Cherokee Nation of Oklahoma did assume responsibility for the administration and maintenance of Sequoia High School by virtue of a contracting with the BIA on November 10th, 1985. And, you just heard and seen good things about what Sequoia High School is doing and the facilities they have to work with. I'm sorry I got on my soapbox earlier about Sequoia, but, it's our school, and I think we need to be more adamant about trying to make that school look better. And as a parents, there are studies that show with the climate on students, they do better in the classroom. If you guys get a chance, get with me and myself, Qualls, we'll tour you through the facilities, and you guys can make your own assumption on that. And Mr. Moore back there, he's working hard with the BIA on trying to get funds to help out with some of the improvements up there, and it's tough. It really is. We got $30,000 the other day for emergency funds, and it did enough to put some little white square tiles that you see in Hastings Hospital to put through our dorms where our kids live at, because that's all we could afford. So, anyways, with that being said, you guys have that before you. There is no old business and new business. Next meeting is December 12th. Do I hear a motion to adjourn? So moved.
Second.
Second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.